Support for Soccer Today is brought to you by Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped recently launched the Ultimate Man's Hygiene Bundle, the Performance Package. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code SOCCERTODAY at manscaped.com.
Ya lo hace, pierna derecha, directo al arco, golazo, golazo, golazo!
The world of football with a soccer perspective. This is Soccer Today with Duane Rollins and Kevin Laramie, live on the Sports Podcasting Network.
Good day, good night. Welcome to Soccer Today for Tuesday, June 14th, 2022. I'm Kev Laramie and I'll be joined by Duane Rollins in a second. While we invite you to click on the subscribe button on YouTube and click on the notification bell to be made aware whenever we upload a brand new podcast. Welcome to today's episode of Soccer Today. We're going to break down Canada's travel to Honduras, a defeat in the Nations League. We'll break that down. We'll look at Canada's tactics. The way it lined up, we'll look at the statistics and we'll look at the late yellow card that Alistair Johnston got, his second of the night, which led to a red card and what that means going forward. We'll also talk about Ronny Deila leaving NYC FC for Belgium. Le Standard de Liège is Ronnie's new club. We'll look at his tenure with NYC FC and what it meant on the record board and, of course, on the scoreboard for NYCFC going forward in this season, as they are the best team in the Eastern Conference. But first of all, Duane, how are you today?
I'm okay. Blue Collar Dan just texted or tweeted at us to say this is going to be a tough show. Dan, we have lots of experience talking about Canada's losses. We'll get through it. We've been doing this for 15 years. This is almost 15, so I have some experience.
It's a throwback show to when we used to destroy Canada all the time for their poor tactical lineup and poor decision in game. I guess it's where we're going to go later on. But Canada, Honduras last night in Estadio Olímpico Metropolitano. I'm going to get that right. In San Pedro Sula, a name that still, even though it doesn't hurt as badly, it still has a little uneasiness to it, an awkwardness to it. Let's look at the statistics and the box score from last night's matchup. It was a defeat, the first in a while for Canada, Duane. 2-1 in San Pedro Sula. Kevin Lopez. I am not related to Kevin Lopez. It doesn't work with the first name, it's the last name, so I'm not his family, but he scored at the 13th minute. And then, Kevin Arriaga, on a weird play, defensive blunder, ball being deflected, scored Honduras' second goal. Jonathan David at the 86th minute finished a great play and scored his 21st goal for Canada in his career. We'll look later on at the all-time goal-scoring leaderboard for Canada. He's getting close to De Rosario, and we'll look at the real all-time goal-scoring leaderboard. All competitions, including the legends like Dale Mitchell, John Ketliff, and others. Red card for Alistair Johnston, second yellow card of the game at the 90th+4 for a reckless tackle for the Montreal player. Now here are the statistics. 6 shots, 3 on target for Honduras, 38% possession, 241 passes, which is very low, which a 68% passing accuracy is low also. 17 fouls, that's why I put it up there. Very high number of fouls, even for Canada. Canada's numbers are a bit better, but don't get me wrong, this was not Canada's best performance. Before we break down John Herdman's decision when it comes to the starting 11, what was your overall thought on this performance by Canada?
Clearly, the conditions were not ideal. If you did not watch the game and you were only listening to us, it was a typhoon down there, basically. Like they were playing through a lake. You could not play the ball on the floor. You could not play the type of game that Canada likes to play. The speed was nullified by the conditions. All of that stuff is real. And yeah, we'll talk about the refereeing in a bit. But I don't want to dwell on the refereeing because I think dealing with refereeing decisions that you're not used to, that are maybe not how you feel they should be, is something you have to deal with in CONCACAF. So how do I feel about this at an overall level, Kevin? Well, they had been high and fly, or they were flying high, but if they played the last 5 games they played, they've lost 3 of them. So how I feel about this is a little bit disconcerted, while putting all the caveats out there that there were some circumstances on this one that you can give it a pass. But when you look at the overall trend, they lost 2 of the 3 in the last window, including the Panama game, which I thought they played really sloppy in. Maybe they were a little bit partied out. I don't know. They lost, this one as well. And this one was more concerning to me because they played it naive, I thought. I thought that they should have understood tactically that was not going to work last night, and they should have adjusted quicker than they did.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And when we look at the last few results for Canada, like you mentioned, 3rd defeat in the last 5 games, I think it's also maybe reassuring in a way, because you cannot let yourself have too big of a head right now. You can't be too much, arrogant and confident. You need to look at the latest result, and you need to look at what needs to be done heading into Qatar. Now, tactically speaking, when we're looking at how Canada played over the last 5 games, there's one thing missing, and it's consistency. They're trying a lot of things. John Herdman is trying a lot of wet paper thrown at the wall. And whatever sticks might gives us an indication of what's to come November. There will be a little bit of adjustment on how Canada sets up until November, and in November in Qatar. It will be a team-by-team mentality. John Herdman has evolved and able to adjust his tactics when it comes to his opponent over the last few cycles, and especially over the last few months. We've seen Canada play a 3-4-3, a 3-5-2, a 4-2-3-1, a 4-4-2. 4-2-3-1 was obviously last night. We've basically played them in multiple positions to liberate Alphonso Davies, to try to have Ike Ugbo up top, which was the case last night, which leads us to this lineup for Canada. As you can see, Milan Borjan was still in net for Canada. Richie Larea was one of the changes, and he was the left back for this one. Kamal Miller and Steven Vittoria were your center back, with Alistair Johnston as your right back in a 4-2-3-1. Your 2 defensive midfielders were Atiba Hutchinson, Stefan Eustachio in this one. Also, Alphonso Davies, Junior Hollett, Tejan Buchanan as your 3 attacking midfielders, and Ike Ugbo as your striker. I was expecting a bit more changes. The 2 big changes are, of course, the formation, Larea and Ike Ugbo. What did you think of Ike Ugbo's play as a striker?
I mean, keeping in mind that he's still pretty young, that we're going to give him a bit of a pass. He wasn't clinical enough up top. He had a couple chances, a couple half looks that I think he could have created more. And when we saw Jonathan David come in for the last 20 minutes, we saw an instant change to the danger of the Canadian attack, even in the tough conditions. I mean, saying that he's not as good as Jonathan David is hardly, going to be something you're going to put up in a pinboard. We all understand that. But at the same time, they're not that much far apart in age, so you can tell that there's a bit of a difference there. Look, What I didn't like about this lineup, Kevin, in general, was that I think John Herdman should have looked at those conditions and should have put out a lineup that would have allowed them to play a little more of a direct game. They were trying to play it on the floor constantly. And if you look at, there was just 4 areas of the pitch, kind of, if you just go out in sort of a diagonal from the boxes in that sort of middle part of the midfield there, they were bogged down. The passes were getting held up. The ball was literally stopping in there, but yet they kept going through it. You'll notice Honduras didn't go through that part of the field. They knew that, and they kept in the wings. They went over top of it. They were playing more direct. They were sitting back even though they were at home. I'm not saying we should have sat it back, but they needed to adjust that tactics. I would have put Cavallini out there maybe to be a guy that's a bigger body that could maybe knock some people down and create a little bit more space out there. Look.
And also, let's not forget, Duane, I'm sorry to interject. I was going to say, 3 minutes in, Junior Hollett has a good shot, a good look, and a good opportunity. He misses a shot. He's trying to curl it around the keeper, misses it. It's an easy save. Right there, it could be 1-0. So this game could have been different if a couple of opportunities would be buried early on by Canada.
Yeah, look, you said, glad you said try to curl it. They were trying to do fancy stuff with the ball all night. Like Alphonso Davies with that free kick that was about 20 yards out, he tried to curl it around the wall and it just flew up because he got under it a bit. That was the conditions, and they just didn't adjust to it. They're used to playing on perfect pitches, and in their defense, they will be playing on perfect pitches in the fall. So it's not a big deal in the grand scheme of preparing for the World Cup. Don't go scream the sky is falling out there, but there are some concerns. I think there are a little bit of a hiccup. So how they get through this is going to be interesting to watch them play out. Unfortunately, we won't get to see them until September now. Look, they could probably all use the rest, though. It's been a long year. I think what really struck me last night, this was the second game in a row where we mostly saw the World Cup qualifying team out there. We didn't see a lot of new looks. I was disappointed by that. That's, I think, a direct result of losing that Iran/Panama game where you might have been more experimental in terms of your starting players. Like, if you're a guy like Raheem Edwards, what do you think? Like, you get called into camp, but you don't get used in 2 games. To me, that's a mistake. But, I mean, John Herdman's got them here, so I guess.
And sometimes it's also to test the player. What if I bring you in and you don't play? Are you going to be a cancer in the locker room? Because if so, you're not going to be called back in. If not, maybe you are going to be called back in. Raheem Edwards is a fringe player. And by the way, since yesterday's show, and we did talk about it yesterday, it was officially announced 26 players per nation will take part in Qatar 2022. That is 3 more players than a normal World Cup roster. Instead of 23 players, nations will be able to name 26 players to their squad, 11 starting players, and of course, as it is now the norm, a bit bigger bench, and also up to 26 players named in the stands. So you will see players like Raheem Edwards being involved, at least named for Canada.
Yeah, and that's a good news, I think, for the Canadian player pool to see that those 3 players. I'd probably say there's probably 5 spots available that might be open, and that's going to allow some flexibility. And again, you want to see these guys play. But if you're a Canadian player this summer, it's going to be key for you. Even if you're in the KMPL, I mean, get out there, show what you can do.
Yeah.
There's going to be some players, and especially if you're younger, because they're going to be looking a little bit ahead to 26 with some of those names, or they're going to be looking to add some good sort of characters for the dressing room. That's good news all across the board. Who do you bring? I think you pick defenders because that might be an area that you might need to address on. Do you bring a guy that's a complete flair player? Lots of questions to think about.
I think it'll all start with John Herdman thinking and breaking down how he wants to play for those 3 games. Because you don't prepare for the knockout stage. You can't prepare tactically for the knockout stage. It's the unknown. You'll have to deal with what you have at that point. But you can schedule your starting 11 for your 3 games against Morocco, Croatia, and Belgium. And maybe you find a way to, I need to play this formation with the 3-4-3 against this team and the 4-2-3-1 there. What do I need to start? Who do I need on the bench to have a like-for-like sub? And then from there, you maybe build your roster up to 23, 24, and then you go with, the 25th player, Samuel Piette, who's been playing for the national team since he's 17, Atiba Hutchinson, maybe for... he's in the starting 11, so that doesn't count. But those are all great ways to think about this. And Duane will break down after the break the all-time goal scorers, because we'll look at Jonathan David's performance. We'll see what it means going forward and how long Kyle Larin will be on top of that conversation. But let's look at the schedule for tonight in the Nations League. There's a couple of games that will take place tonight. Jamaica, Mexico at 8 p.m. tonight in Group A of League A of the Nations League. In Group D, the U.S. will be playing tonight against El Salvador. Both top teams in CONCACAF are playing on the road tonight. So Mexico will be playing in Kingston, Jamaica. And USA will be in El Salvador for these Nations League game, the last game of the match day 4 for League A. And that will take place tonight. And it's a fun competition to keep an eye on. But what I've been keeping an eye on over the last few weeks is my body, because I've been using Manscaped. Manscaped.com, 20% off with the free shipping with the world, free shipping over the world, with the code SOCCER today. To me, it's been one of my best discoveries of the year. Been working out a lot lately, and this product has made my workout a whole lot better. I can use it on my body, multiple parts of my body, and my family jewels also, like Manscaped would tell you. It's the perfect tools for your family jewels, and it's been making my grooming routine a lot more enjoyable. Also, my athletic routine a lot more enjoyable, because those are the best boxers I've ever worked out in. And also played soccer in anti-chafing boxers by Manscaped. that comes with the Performance Package 4.0. You can find the Performance Package 4.0 on manscaped.com, and it does help, of course, Soccer Today. If you get the Performance Package 4.0 with code Soccer Today at manscaped.com. Let's continue our look at the Performance Package. You have the Weed Whacker, which is for the ears and for the nose. Very useful tool in your grooming kit. Of course, the Lawnmower 4.0 has a light. It's waterproof. You can use it in the shower, in the sink. It's cuts down. I did not have one nick or cut with it. It's better for the body than all the other razors, clippers I've used in the past. And of course, that comes with the Performance Package 4.0. You get also the toner and the preserver. Preserver is a deodorant. The toner is a reviver, refresher, and it makes everything smelling really nice, actually. You get a travel bag also with the Performance Package 4.0, and you can get that at manscaped.com. 20% off with the code Soccer Today and free shipping worldwide with the code Soccer Today. Once again, unlock your confidence and always have the right tools for the job with manscaped.com. We'll be right back after this short break.
You are listening to Soccer Today. Follow us on Twitter at Soccer Today SPN and like our Facebook page, facebook.com/Sports Podcasting Network.
And we're back on Soccer Today. Kevin Laramie with Duane Rollins as we now break down. We'll have the breaking news. Apple TV, 10 years. We'll have more details with that. That's a commercial TV deal, Major League Soccer. More coming down over the next few minutes. And tomorrow on the show, we'll have more detail. This is the breaking news. What can you tell us, Duane?
Just basically it was announced about 2 minutes ago. Apple TV has signed a 10-year deal with Major League Soccer to present every MLS game for the next 10 years, starting in 23, all over the world, without local blackouts. That's the one thing that jumps out to me. No more 72 hours to watch the games again. Thank you. As a podcaster that has to deal with games that go on at the same time, thank you. Why do I have to wait 72 hours? Anyway, that'll be gone next year. We don't know many details other than that. It says it'll be available on, all of your Fire and Roku and PlayStation and all of that stuff, your smart TVs. This looks like it's a pretty good deal. Don't know anything about the money, but we'll know more tomorrow, and we'll talk more about it tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. I'm reading through right now to the press release that we have just received by Major League Soccer 60 minutes ago. So here is a few excerpt from that press release. Apple and Major League Soccer to present all MLS matches around the world for 10 years beginning in 2023. In a historic first for sports, fans can stream every single MLS match through the Apple TV app without any local blackout or restrictions. Apple and Major League Soccer today announced that the Apple TV app will be the exclusive destinations to watch every single live MLS match beginning in 2023. This partnership is a historic first for major professional sports league and will allow fans around the world to watch all MLS Leagues Cup and MLS Next Pro and MLS Next matches in one place without any local broadcast blackouts or the need for a traditional paid TV bundle. We'll know more, of course, over the next few days also, but this is what we have now. Before we continue, if this is something that you like when it comes to Canadian soccer, Canadian men's national team, the road to Qatar is taking place on our Patreon page, and the Two Solitudes Soccer Podcast is back at patreon.com/2solitudes. This is where Duane and I will, in the next couple days, break down some of the aspects of Canadian soccer, and maybe we'll have more details on the Canadian side of that deal, and also what does it mean for traditional television when it comes to the future of Major League Soccer. All details that I'm, for multiple reasons, really interested to know, but that will also be probably finalized now that the streaming aspect of MLS has been signed.
Yeah, and I'll be curious to what this means to DAZN, but that's another topic for another day.
Well, the zone is literally not doing well.
Champions League. Yeah.
It's a Champions League and Premier League, and after that contract, I don't know if the zone
Well,
will be able to survive.
The Premier League's gone. It's
The
gone
Premier League
now.
is gone now, so there's nothing else than the Champions League on the zone. It's getting
Champions League, Europa League, Conference League. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, that's what it's going to become. But that will be interesting. All right, before we continue, speaking of our Patreons, let's look at all the famous patrons we have on our shout out. I love these human beings. They're part of the shout out tier of the patrons at patreon.com/2solitudes. You heard Blue Collar Dan talk to us on social media earlier. Well, you can do the same, and you can join Dan by joining our patreon.com/2solitudes shout out tier, and your name will be added to this list. Thank you for the support over the years, everybody. All right, we had a breaking news. I'm not catching my breath. I was kind of scared for my professional career next year, so we'll see what that comes for also the broadcast of MLS games down the road. Speaking of MLS, Duane, we have a manager who left his club yesterday officially, and that is Ronny Deila, leaving for Belgium. Assistant Efren Juarez will follow him at Standard de Liège. New York City FC received a 7-figure fee according to multiple sources. Not bad. Here are his numbers with NYC FC. 1 MLS Cup, 89 games managed, a record of 43, 28, and 18, 118 goals, 71 goals against, for a 48.31 winning percentage. Nick Cushing has been named the new NYC FC manager. A continuity with his work with City Football Group will also help in the transition. Ronny Deila left for Europe. What is your thought, Duane?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about this yesterday. Obviously, he came in with a lot of doubts amongst MLS fans, sort of that traditional, how can a European guy come over here and succeed kind of mentality that I think needs to kind of be revisited. I remember saying those very same thoughts myself 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, but it's pretty clear that international managers that come over here and want to learn this league and want to learn how it operates can be successful in every way that an American manager can or a Canadian manager could. He was successful. He won an MLS Cup, and that team, even beyond that, was consistently among the better teams. Is still consistently one of the better teams. The question now is what this means for NYC FC this year. Can they just sort of flayed into it? I think naming the intern to do a proper search, particularly when you have the resources of City Football Group behind you, is the right thing to do. We joked about it yesterday, but Chris Armas, a guy who's had no success otherwise, was able to take Jesse Marsh's work and just sort of continue it through and successfully win a shield with the Red Bulls. That suggests to me that the intern tag can work if they don't try and mix it up too much. So this isn't the worst choice for NYCFC. They got a little bit of money from it. They have the resources to get the right hire before. And if it's anything, we shouldn't even bother to guess, because City Football Group has shown time and time again when it comes to not even all their teams, they don't sign them necessarily, other than Haaland. They don't really sign the obvious signing very often. City Football Group doesn't. They find those gems and they shine them into diamonds. The rocks, they make them diamonds, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it'll be interesting to see how the transition happens, because there might be another transition in the next few weeks or months. For sure, at the end of the season, there's a very high probability that Tati Castellanos leaves for a club in Europe and South America. It's even rumored that it might be this summer. We'll see if there's a deal there. There's definitely been offers. So NYCFC is really going through its paces and not being afraid of just selling its good parts and rebuilding in a way that it's financially responsible. And we'll see if it works for Ronny Deila and NYCFC. I want to go back to the breaking news, Duane, because I've been browsing a bit more. And here's a few interesting aspects about this deal for our Canadian listeners that could be interesting. So here is what I'm founding about this Apple and MLS deal that was announced at the beginning of this show. At launch, all MLS and Leagues Cup matches will include announcers calling the action in English and Spanish. And all matches involving Canadian teams will be available in French. Apple and MLS will also provide enhanced league and club coverage for fans to easily follow the league or their favorite clubs in Apple News, with the ability to watch highlights right in the News app. So for now, what it means is in Canada also, in Canadian matches will be available through Apple TV.
Yeah, it doesn't. This is your national deal, by the way. It's not a local deal, so there still will be local TV, I would expect. I don't see anything that's countering that. It's similar to what you get on DAZN now, with a few added bonuses. For those of us that watch a lot of MLS, this sounds like it's a pretty good opportunity to consolidate everything, to get rid of our blackouts, which, jokes aside, were a pain. I mean, I will never understand why we had to wait 3 days. I could have accepted one, maybe, but 3 days, come on. It will help people that want to be completists. In terms of folks that just want to follow their local team, I'm not sure this will make a big difference, except that there's no local blackouts again. So if you're in a market like Columbus or DC, which had that strange little deal with little tiny TV stations that kind
Yeah,
of were fly by night.
with Flow Sports, but
Yeah,
those deals
yeah,
didn't last long because Flow Sports doesn't have quality and it's terrible. So
yeah.
they actually didn't even go through the entire contracts they had with Flow. But yeah, we'll see what happens on that side. If I have more news that are official on the rights, local rights and Canadian rights are also different. In this case, it seems to include Canada for the streaming aspect. We'll see what happens down the road. In Canada, MLS Live was on the zone. It was different for the States. It's on ESPN Plus in the States. So I'm thinking that will be done with the zone this year for MLS. But we're speculating at this point. The same for TV rights and TV broadcast of MLS games in Canada, which those contracts are up at the end of this year. So we'll know more down the road for that. Before we say goodbye, Duane, I want to talk about one more subject here. Let's talk about Canada's all-time goal-scoring leaders. With his 21st goal yesterday, Jonathan David has made it to only one goal to catch not Jonathan, but Duane de Rosario. Let's look at that standings. I think it's an amazing crop of players because look at these names: Kyle Larin, Jonathan David, Lucas Cavallini are in the young generation, and already Larin is top, 24 goals. Jonathan David will catch Kyle Larin very soon. Duane de Rosario is only a question of when and not if Jonathan David surpasses him. Let's not forget John Cadliff, Dane Mitchell. Tip of the hat to you gentlemen for your great career over the year. To St. Ricketts, Lucas Cavallini in 6th position. Alex Bumbury has 16 goals all competition. Ali Gerba 15 and Junior Holet 14. What is the ceiling of Jonathan David? Will he get to 30?
Yeah, he will. I mean, he's got 2 more cycles in him. Kyle Laren's probably got maybe 2 more cycles in him too. I don't know at the top peak he will either. This list is going to look very different by the time the 2026 World Cup rolls around. You could even see a Junior Holat up in 3rd spot by that point. Or another player that we've yet to find out. They're going to play much more games. The Nations League, for all the people that are complaining about the Nations League, it does add consistent scheduling to the lineup, something Canada never had before. That just means more games, more opportunities to score, and this team is better. They're going to score more. Jonathan David's goal last night, to me, in what was otherwise a bleak night in a lot of ways, was just a bright spot. Like it was a flash of bright light in the middle of that storm, lightning, if you wish. And it really did show how kind of skill he had, that burst of speed, that ability to understand the conditions. And look, he's still got a move in him. He had a bit of a slump at the end of the season in France. I think that he is now committed to go back to Lille for the first half of this year. That's not the worst idea. He has a good World Cup. He could propel that to a move to a very big club. And he's still on the radar of those teams. So, look, the sky is the limit for this group. Bad night last night. Let's not ignore the good quality that happened over the last year or so. They're going to play in a World Cup in the fall, and that's an opportunity for a lot of these guys. And look, they're going to also play in Europe and probably play some bigger teams. It wouldn't look. The U.S. is in Wales and England's group. One of those 2 teams probably is on the phone with them right now. That's not that weird of a speculation, right? And I hope it's England. But if it's Wales, that's fine too.
Hey, there's exactly. I was gonna say there's a nice golf course in Canada, but the game wouldn't take place in Canada. So
yeah, it'll be probably in England. It would probably be, but yeah, or Wales.
yeah, probably be in Wales. Actually, you're right.
Yeah, I'd have to look at their schedule to be honest. I haven't really looked at the European schedule that closely, but it stands to reason that if they're playing in Europe, they're looking to get European opposition or Northern African opposition. I've heard Algeria spoken of it before as a possible friendly matchup. Algeria's not going to World Cup, but they would kind of add that African sort of style that might be for preparation for Morocco. They will have good games. Last night was not the end of the world. There was reasons to be concerned, but not that many reasons. Have a good summer, guys. relax. We'll have lots of time to talk about this, including on the Two Solitudes Soccer podcast every week. Sign up to our Patreon to get access to that. Kevin?
Yeah, Two Solitudes, available at patreon.com/2solitudes. You can find that podcast. Thanks to our sponsor, Manscaped. Manscaped.com. You get 20% off and free shipping worldwide with the code SOCCER today. That's 20% off and free shipping worldwide with the code SOCCER today at Manscaped.com. Unlock your confidence and always have the right tools for the job with Manscaped. We'll be back with a brand new edition of the World of Football with a soccer perspective tomorrow. And as always, until then, you can follow Duane at 24th Minute, myself at Kev Laramie, and this show at Soccer Today SPN. You can subscribe to our YouTube page. Click on that notification bell. You'll be made aware whenever we upload a brand new episode. And as always, until then, we wish you a great soccer.
You can find the podcast version of all the shows we do on iTunes, Apple Podcast, Google Play Store, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, and anywhere you get your podcast.